What's up, everyone? This is Based Bodybuilder with Based Bodybuilding. Make sure to subscribe for more bodybuilding coverage. Today, we're covering the New York Pro 2024 Classic Physique. Prejudging wrapped up, and it looks like it is a rematch between Greggo and Eric Wildberger. These two faced off at the Pittsburgh Pro just a couple weeks ago, and now they're going to do it again here at the New York Pro. So let's take a look at how they faced off during the prejudging. We have the front double here. Definitely a great shot from Greggo. Right away, he stands out. He's got these flaring quads, really good waist. His waist looks noticeably smaller than Eric's in this shot. And I like the way he hits it just straight on, where it looks like Eric's kind of like turning to face the judges more. I think you just have to pose like straight on, and it looks better that way. So Matt's arms are definitely a little bit bigger as well. You can see a little more fullness, better bicep peaks. And I like Matt's chest in this shot as well. His chest looks a lot more symmetrical. Apparently Eric tore his right pec, so you can kind of tell here that small lump. It kind of throws off his symmetry. Yeah, I think Matt he looks phenomenal in the shot. Definitely a big fan of Matt in the front double. So I think Matt takes the front double, is a little more ab definition as well. I like that look, especially for classic physique, when your abs are still showing in a vacuum of a front double. It looks very classical to me and gives it that kind of like Danny Padilla look. Yeah, Eric, he has better overall fullness in his legs. You can see there's less of a gap here, where Matt can kind of see that slight gap, so he might want to work on the adductors a bit more. But other than that, yeah, Matt's killing this shot. So let's look to the side chest. Okay, now this is where I think Eric truly stands out right away. Even though he has that torn pec, he does a really good job showcasing his pecs in the side chest. Lots of striations here. Matt, he also looks nice and full, nice and striated, but I think he has a little bit more polish in his chest. And I think Eric's arms look a little bit better from the side here. They look a little bit bigger in this shot, where Matt's, you see his bicep kind of flattens out here. I'm not as big of a fan of Matt's arms in this shot. Both have great delts. Matt's rear delt is awesome. Like, look at that. It looks 3D. Eric's has a more natural look to it, more fullness. Let's look at the legs now. Very close. They're both very close in leg size. I think Matt's may look slightly bigger, but Eric has more definition. You can tell there's a little bit more detail in Eric's. So I think he kind of takes the legs in the conditioning department and for details. Overall, I'd like Eric in this shot. I think he has a slightly wider body, so he looks more commanding in this shot. If you see, his overall width from up here, I think it's more impressive with Eric. So I would slightly give this shot to Eric. Now let's look at back double. This is where things really get interesting. Right away, both these guys have great glutes, but Eric's glutes are next level. They remind me something of Derek Lunsford's. Just look like they're cheese grated and so much detail, a lot cleaner looking, where Matt's, even though they're striated, you can see these like lumps there. I don't know if that's from injection, bad injection, or what have you, but I'm just not as big of a fan of the detail in Matt's glutes compared to Eric's. Now, this isn't a glute show, so let's look at the actual backs. Both shredded, both very wide. I think as far as density, Eric takes this a lot denser, and right away I noticed like his lower back has so much detail. Are you kidding me? Look at this. He's got like little striations in his lower back. Matt's looks amazing too, and Matt actually might have a slightly narrower lower back, which looks good as far as V-taper, but it's hard not to give this shot to Eric. He's got more, a little more detail in his hamstrings as well. The lines are a little more clear. I gotta give this to Eric for sure. The only other thing Matt might have him on is arms. I think Matt's arms look way better from behind. You can see there's like the biceps tying into each other between the biceps and the triceps. A lot of separation and lines there, where Eric maybe doesn't have that. His isn't as good. But again, this is classic physique. If this was bodybuilding, I honestly think Matt would do really good at bodybuilding if he were to keep bulking up and gaining size. I think Matt's got a good bodybuilding physique. Overall, this back, Eric is just overwhelming Matt in the back department. And where the lower back ties into the glutes, there's way too much detail for Matt to be able to handle here. Okay, let's look at the ab and thighs. Now, these guys weren't hitting the ab and thighs at the same time. One was hitting the vacuum while the other was hitting the ab and thighs. So let's do our best to kind of pick this apart. Matt looks great in the vacuum. I think Matt probably looks better in the vacuum than Eric does. And I'm not really a big fan of Eric's ab and thigh shot here. He doesn't look as aesthetic. When you're comparing pure aesthetics here, even though Matt's not in the ab and thigh shot, he just looks way more tapered than Eric does here. Eric, this isn't his best shot for sure. It's definitely not one of his best shots. It's not bad. He's conditioned. He's got nice serratus, very nice detail around here, but he kind of loses that symmetry in his lower abs. Looks like he has about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 abs, maybe 6, 7 if you count, but he kind of has that off-balanced ab look. And Matt's chest looks bulging full. His arms look massive. Look at, there's like 0 space left between his arms and neck here, where Eric got this big gap. I think Matt would take this, but let's now look at Matt hitting the actual ab and thighs, because that will give us a better picture here. Okay, so now here's Eric in the vacuum. I don't think in either shot Eric really looks that great. I think this is where Matt will truly shine. He looks great in this ab and thigh shot. Could he be a little more conditioned? Sure, there could be maybe a little more detail in Matt's abs, but he just looks freaky with the serratus here and how that ties into his lats, and just comparing how small his waist is to his lats. It's really a nice look. Yeah, from an overall classic standpoint, I think Matt takes this one as well. Yeah, this is very close. This is a very close show. And let's take a look at the last pose, which is your favorite classical pose. I think like that's how they do this. It's kind of weird because how do you really compare it? So it looks like Matt is going with the standard front lat spread. Looks terrific. This is another shot where I'm like, Matt, you gotta think about doing open bodybuilding. Get some more size in it, and this would look even better. He's got the tiny waist to go with it, so if he just grows more, this would be a truly freaky shot. But in any case, it's freaky. There's no denying this is a freaky shot from Matt. I like how he chose this. He might, I mean, if this is a classical pose, I mean, I wouldn't call this a classical pose. He might be better doing the one where he does the one lat spread and then the one arm bicep. That might be more kind of like what Eric's doing. But overall, I mean, this is an overwhelming shot from Matt. Eric, he looks great, he looks classical. Is this enough for him to win it? Or at least to take the shot? I don't think so. I think Matt looks a lot better in this shot than Eric. I mean, if I had to choose who looks better, you know, shot for shot, even though it's completely, well, even though it's a relatively different pose, I'm going to give it to Matt, hands down. So, where does that fall with who is going to win? I think this is Matt's show to win. I do think he did enough here to beat Eric. If you're looking at it from an overall conditioning standpoint, sure, Eric would win because his glutes are better quality, they're more detailed, they're more crisp. His back overall is more crisp, he has the detail on his lower back, but this is a classic physique show, and I don't see it as an overall conditioning show. It has to be who is the best shape and overall pleasing classical package, which I think Matt brought. Matt's a guy, he's from like central Jersey or northern PA area, like Allentown, so I think he's got an advantage here at the New York Pro in the New York area, if you believe in any of that. I think this show's going to go in his favor. I think he did enough to kind of overcome Eric, but we're going to have to see if the judges feel the same way. I'll keep everyone posted on the outcome, so be sure to stay tuned for more bodybuilding coverage. Base Bodybuilder, make sure to hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.